Both feelings and instincts influence a woman's mind, which is like a multi-layered masterpiece. When someone who used to chase her with all their might suddenly stops, it doesn't just go unnoticed. It sets off a deep psychological reaction. Being away from someone can make you curious, think about, and even long for them. But why does this happen? The timeless wisdom of Stoicism will be applied to these subtle but profound reactions today. By staying calm, controlling your emotions, and embracing the power of detachment, you'll understand how stepping back can create clarity and even spark attraction. Whether you're dealing with the uncertainty of modern relationships or trying to figure out how your actions affect others, this video will give you the insights you need to decode this fascinating dynamic. What you're about to learn could change the way you think about connection and power, so stay tuned. Allow us to begin. Number 1, the first surprise and the questions. When you decide to stop talking to a woman, one of the first things she might do is feel shocked or even certain. This is a normal reaction. She might start to wonder what changed when contact that used to happen often or steadily stops all of a sudden. Why isn't he reaching out anymore? Did something happen? These questions may evoke a range of emotions in her, from curiosity to irritation, as she contemplates the sudden silence. This is where Stoic knowledge comes in handy. Stoicism stresses that you should focus your energy on things that you can control. Your emotions and thoughts are within your control. You can't change her response, no matter how strong or weak it is. You'll get more frustrated trying to control or predict her feelings. Instead, keep your cool and think about your own plans. Assume you've started conversations, set dates, or put in the most effort. You may feel like the balance is off, leaving you feeling unappreciated or like you're chasing her, so you step back and stop initiating naturally. She may then wonder what happened and why he's not talking to her anymore. That's when her initial shock or confusion sets in, but instead of rushing to explain yourself or ease her discomfort, you choose to let the silence unfold. This silence isn't just important for her, it's also transformative for you. When used thoughtfully, it gives her time to think about how she feels and allows you an opportunity to realign with your own sense of self-worth. Stoicism teaches that silence isn't just the lack of sound, but also a way to find balance and clarity. During this pause, you can watch your feelings let go of any urge to chase or look for approval. This is not a sign of weakness, it shows power. It comes from realizing that you can't control her thoughts or feelings. They are hers to deal with on her own. When you pull away, the focus shifts in the relationship. If she truly values the negative action, this shift may prompt her to reconsider her actions and the balance of effort between you two. More importantly, it gives you a chance to see if this dynamic fits with your values and self-respect. Stoic ideas tell us that outside things, like someone's attention or reaction, shouldn't affect our inner peace. Real strength comes from keeping your emotions in check, no matter what's going on around you, by stepping back and not chasing after things. You show emotional independence and self-respect. You show that your sense of peace and self-worth isn't dependent on how she reacts. This can be a powerful realization for both of you. You're showing that you value your mental and emotional balance over external validation. By doing this, you establish a strong foundation unaffected by others' emotions. It's not about controlling them, but about prioritizing your own needs and maintaining your dignity. Silence gives you both a chance to think. It might make her rethink her actions and feelings, but more importantly, it lets you decide if the link is beneficial for your growth and values. In the end, this method works because it embraces one of Stoicism's main ideas. The only person you can control is yourself. By focusing on inner peace instead of wanting external approval, you change how you deal with relationships. This way of thinking gives you the power to stay calm and collected no matter what other people do. If this hits home for you, I'd love to hear your ideas. Type or leave a review. I choose self-respect below your input, which not only keeps the conversation going, but also helps others think about how they can use these ideas in their own lives. Let's keep talking about how these Stoic ideas can lead to more meaningful interactions in the next section. We engage in the process of uncovering and contemplating something new. A thought. Stopping your pursuit or reaching out to a woman can surprise her. She might experience confusion or unease when the familiar dynamic abruptly shifts. This disruption often makes her think about what happened, and she may replay conversations or actions to try to figure out what caused the change. She'll probably wonder if she initiated the silence or if the relationship did. This is where the Stoic perspective becomes useful. As she contemplates the relationship, utilize this opportunity to reflect on yourself. Stoicism tells us to pay attention to our own ideas, actions and responses, not the feelings or reactions of other people. Take a moment to look at the connection through your own eyes. You should have been honest and true to your values, but because you wanted to win her praise or keep her interested, you were putting your own well-being at risk. Taking a reserved stance helps you see your own worth, regardless of what other people say. If you realize that you were putting her attention before your own needs or boundaries, now is the time to ask yourself why. Was it a fear of being alone? Did you base your self-esteem on how much she valued you? For example, if you were always texting her, making plans, and trying to get her attention, she will probably notice when you stop. Instead of waiting anxiously for her response, use this time to think about whether you lost sight of your own identity in the pursuit of hers, or whether you gave up your values or boundaries just to stay connected. Now is your chance to reconnect with yourself. Stoicism isn't about feeling guilty or sorry for things. It's about growing and becoming more self-aware. You might realize that you relied too much on her approval and not enough on your own self-respect. Additionally, you may have sacrificed too much of yourself for the relationship. Now is not the time to dwell on mistakes. Instead, use them to build a more grounded and confident version of yourself. Instead of worrying about what she's thinking or whether she'll return, focus on your own growth. Your true power lies in turning every experience into a chance to grow. You can control your response to the silence, but not her feelings. Will you use this time to grow and align with your values? While she thinks about the past, a Stoic would consider their identity and life and relationship needs. By stepping back, you take back control of your happiness and don't let it depend on someone else. This is what Stoicism is all about, finding fulfillment not through external validation, but through a steady commitment to your values. While she thinks about the past, focus on how you can evolve, learn, and move forward. This is the path to true inner strength and peace, and it doesn't depend on whether she comes back. It depends on your unwavering commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. Limits. If you stop trying to contact her, she might react in ways that seem meant to get you to contact her again. For example, she might send you a seemingly casual message, share something intriguing on social media, or even set up situations that make you want to talk to her. She may not be trying to get you to contact her again, but she may be checking if she still controls you. Many men make mistakes in these situations by reacting too quickly. They're afraid of losing her, that she's moving on, or that their withdrawal hasn't had the effect they wanted. Because of this fear, they either respond right away to her message or go back to their old habits of pursuing her again. Sadly, these kinds of responses come from a lack of strength, not confidence. This is where a reserved attitude can be very useful. A Stoic knows that real strength comes from self-control and inner determination, not from approval from others. When a woman tests your boundaries after you've stepped back, she's probably trying to see if she still controls your actions. But a man who follows Stoic principles doesn't waver. He knows that while he can control his own feelings and responses, she can't change his behavior, and he's okay with that. For example, if she sends you a message after a few days of silence, it could be a move to see if you'll immediately re-engage. Instead of rushing to reply out of excitement or anxiety, take a moment to think about whether responding is in line with your values and goals. You could choose to respond, but do so calmly and purposefully, without feeling like you have to impress or win her over. You could also decide not to respond, knowing that silence is better in the long run. Either way, your choice comes from inner strength, not emotional impulsivity. It's straightforward to believe that chasing her attention will make her like you more, but it usually makes you feel negative about yourself and lowers your place. A Stoic man doesn't look for approval or validation from anyone, not even from someone he's deeply attracted to. His self-worth doesn't depend on other people recognizing it. It comes from within. By setting clear boundaries, you show her and yourself that your worth isn't dependent on how she responds. Remember that not answering every test or challenge shows emotional balance and confidence. This kind of strength, not the kind that tries to control others, but the kind that comes from being in charge of yourself, naturally draws people, including women. Life will always have problems, whether they come from people or situations. The important thing is not to avoid these problems, but to deal with them with grace and wisdom. When a woman tests your limits, she's probably trying to see how sure you are of yourself. Reacting emotionally may lead her to perceive you as uncertain and in need of her approval, but maintaining composure and adhering to your values will demonstrate your self-assurance and independence. Not playing games or manipulating her, but being real and confident. Your goal isn't to ignore her for a reaction, it's to prioritize your own peace of mind and self-respect. In the end, a Stoic man knows that his true power comes from being in control of himself. He doesn't need to prove himself or look for approval from others. When she tests your limits, see it as a chance to show how strong you are, not by playing mind games, but by sticking to your principles. This sends a strong message. You don't need her praise to feel whole. Your sense of wholeness comes from inside you, which is a rare and attractive trait. Reflect on past experiences with similar situations. Did you act on impulse, or did you stick to your beliefs? Growth starts with self-awareness is crucial, so don't be afraid to admit your mistakes. It's all part of becoming a stronger version of yourself. If this speaks to you, share your thoughts below or just type, "I am in control of my actions." Let's continue our conversation and delve deeper into the fourth step of her journey towards self-mastery. When a woman seeks answers, a strange shift occurs when you stop reaching out to her. She may initially seem indifferent, unbothered by your presence, but when you step back, everything changes. Suddenly she becomes curious, reaching out and questioning what happened. This reaction, often referred to as seeking closure, is one of the most common responses to someone withdrawing their attention. But here's the deeper question. Do you truly owe her the answers she's searching for? Picture this: you've been exchanging texts, maybe even spent time together on a few dates, but something about the dynamic feels off. Her energy might not match yours, or perhaps the connection lacks the depth you're looking for. So instead of continuing to chase or force something that feels unbalanced, you decide to step back. Days go by in silence, and suddenly there it is, a message from her. "Why haven't you texted me? Did I do something wrong in that moment?" You might feel the pull to explain yourself to clear the air, or alleviate her confusion. But this is where a Stoic mindset offers truth. You don't have to give up your peace of mind to please someone else's feelings. Think about it. Your mental clarity and emotional energy are limited resources that you should protect. If giving someone peace means reopening emotional wounds or getting involved in a situation you've already left, is it really worth it? Stoicism tells us to focus on what we can control, our actions, our responses, and our inner peace, rather than giving in to the pressures of others. It's normal for her to want solutions. At the same time, remember that you are free to choose how much of yourself you want to give. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not over outside events." If you understand this, you will find strength in this position. Her search for peace is an external event, and your strength lies in your ability to choose your response. Talk about something that could bring up an emotionally difficult situation, or stay quiet. An answer that maintains peace and communicates your progress is crucial. There are times when quiet is louder than any words. It's important to remember that sometimes ending something doesn't mean talking about it. There's strength in letting unanswered questions serve as closure in themselves. This is about setting limits and protecting your health, not being rude or cold. Silence is the most stoic response, demonstrating your emotional control and respecting your decision to step back. Think about this. Arguing with everyone who wants your attention is a quick way to burnout. Avoiding explanation shows that you value your time and peace. This doesn't mean you don't care about her feelings. It just means you've moved on personally. She might want answers, but they won't change what happened. You made the decision to distance yourself because you respected yourself and understood your needs. Ultimately, her desire for closure signals a need for you to reevaluate your priorities. Do you open a door you shut for a reason, or do you stay true to yourself and let your silence say what you think? The Stoic way of life reminds us that we are only responsible for how we respond to other people. Protect your peace and respect your boundaries. Let that be your guiding principle. You can be kind to yourself and her by staying quiet. That's the best way to end things. The shift in emotions. Imagine that you've taken a step back and aren't starting conversations, sending texts or making calls. The attention you once readily provided has now vanished, creating a void in the dynamic. As she reacts to the change, she may feel anger, sadness, or even relief. These emotions aren't random. They're her way of dealing with it. As someone who values Stoic principles, it's important to know that her reactions are a reflection of her point of view and not a command for your behavior. The Stoics teach us that emotions, while strong, are temporary. Imagine them as the changing weather, sometimes rough, sometimes calm, but always changing. Her emotions, like anger, sadness, or relief, are temporary states that depend on the situation and not facts that you have to accept. For example, if she responds with anger, she might send you mean messages or complain to her friends about how you've pulled away. It's tempting to defend yourself or explain yourself, but the Stoic philosophy teaches you to stay calm. Her anger is hers to handle, and as Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it. Avoid succumbing to her emotional turmoil by remaining composed, grounded, and committed to your principles. Now imagine that she reacts with sadness. She might send you messages expressing her longing for your attention or her sadness at the loss of your connection. This can make you want to comfort her, but Stoic principles tell you to hold back and be self-controlled. Her sadness is a real feeling, but it's also hers to deal with. It's not your job to fix it or rush in to fill the gap. Instead, give her time and space to work through her feelings. If you respect her emotional journey and your own boundaries, she may feel relieved. She may have already started to pull away, and your decision is in line with what she wanted. This can be shocking or even painful, but Stoicism can help you see clearly. Her relief doesn't reflect your value, it's simply her reality at this moment. If she's happier without you around, it's a clear sign to let go with dignity. As Seneca said, it's not that we don't have a short time to live, we waste a lot of it. Focus on what's important in your life and use this new knowledge to move forward with grace. Stoicism is based on the idea of control, knowing what you can and can't change. You can't change how she reacts to your decision. What you can control is how you react to it. Will you let her feelings pull you back into a relationship that doesn't serve you anymore? Or will you stand firm and put your own peace of mind first when she reacts emotionally, whether with anger, sadness, or relief? Remember that feelings fade, but your inner stability can last. Focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't will help you keep your cool and maintain your self-respect. Think about how you've dealt with changes in your emotions in the past. Have you let someone else's feelings affect what you did, or have you stuck to your decision? Stoicism is a strong way to get through these tough times with grace and clarity. Please let me know what you think. How have you handled similar situations in the past? Post your thoughts in the comments to help others grow and become more resilient and to better understand the topic. Let's keep going on this path to self-mastery together. The sixth step involves understanding your own value. Let's examine an intriguing transformation that occurs when you cease pursuing or attempting to reach out to her. She starts to figure out how valuable you are. Men often ask themselves things like, "Does she still care?" and "Does she see my worth?" Now that I've stepped back, I wonder what's on her mind. It's normal to have these kinds of thoughts. The trap lies in letting her response dictate your self-perception. Your worth is not based on what other people think of you. Your worth is not determined by her, society, or anyone else, and this is where Stoicism plays a crucial role. As Stoics taught us, our sense of self-worth comes from within, from our character, our deeds, and our commitment to our values, not from how other people see or react to us, her thoughts, her choices, or even her reactions. Recognizing your value to come back is not what makes you valuable. When you stop pursuing her, the dynamic changes. She starts to think about the relationship again and reconsiders the role you played in her life. Maybe she remembers your steady demeanor or how you didn't let outside circumstances control your actions. While she's thinking about all of this, your focus shouldn't be on her. It should be grounded in your own sense of worth. Relying on her attention or approval only pulls you away from your true inner strength. Let's say you've chosen silence, withdrawing from constant communication. Perhaps she'll notice your absence and wonder who you are. Maybe she's noticing how grounded you seemed, how you handled situations with calm confidence, or how your strength shone through in small ways. However, you're not waiting by your phone. You're spending time with yourself and considering whether you're meeting your own standards, which is true self-respect. Taking a step back fosters curiosity. She might start to miss the stability you brought to her life through the way you carried yourself with grace or your unwavering emotional stability. She goes through this process of re-evaluation, but it doesn't change how much you're worth, whether she decides to reunite or not. Stoicism basically teaches that your worth isn't based on her actions. Imagine yourself in a situation where you've stopped contacting her, and now she's thinking about it. She's scrutinizing your actions and recognizing your resilience against emotional turmoil. Knowing yourself and your principles instills a magnetic confidence, demonstrating that your sense of worth is not dependent on others' approval, but rather deeply rooted in your own identity. When you stop chasing her, it's not a defeat. It's a moment of empowerment. You're showing that you're sure of yourself and don't need anyone's approval to feel worthy. You demonstrate your worth by treating others with respect, adhering to your values, and acting confidently when faced with uncertainty. This is Stoic wisdom, self-sufficiency, and the realization that only your approval matters. So the next time you feel like pulling away from someone, remember this. Your worth doesn't depend on whether she reaches out to you, acknowledges your worth, or changes her mind about how she feels. This attitude doesn't matter if she returns. What matters is that you know your worth and live by it every day. The Stoics taught us that when she reaches out, you find strength in your character and your unwavering commitment to upholding your values. When she reaches out after you've stopped trying. Okay, so you've stopped trying to get in touch with her. There are no longer any late-night calls, texts, or plans to meet up. Your efforts have been replaced by silence. Suddenly, she reaches out. Perhaps she's intrigued, perhaps she's missed the attention, or perhaps she's pondering the changes. Do you immediately jump back into the conversation, hoping to pick up where you left off, or do you take a calm, calculated approach? This is where a Stoic attitude can make all the difference. Stoicism tells us to stop, think, and act on purpose instead of acting on impulse. When she reaches out, it's normal to feel a rush of feelings like excitement, hope, or even nervousness. But this is the perfect time to practice emotional discipline. Remember that you have control over how you respond, not how she wants you to. Instead of responding right away or letting her message throw you off, take a moment to breathe. Think carefully about her intentions and, more importantly, your own. What do you really want from this interaction? A Stoic man approaches this situation with clarity and purpose. He doesn't look for approval from others. He looks for alignment with his own principles and goals. For example, if she sends you a message saying, "Hey, it's been a while, how are you?" You might have seen this as an opportunity to start deep conversations or reconnect with her. But now that you have Stoic wisdom, you would respond with, "I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Hope all is well with you." This is short, polite, and doesn't give away too much. By keeping your emotions in check and not letting the excitement of her message control your actions, you keep your self-respect. Stoicism tells us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions. You can't change her intentions or what she wants to achieve by reaching out, but you can change how you interact with her. When you stop chasing someone, the balance changes. Some women will ask if they still like you if they notice you're no longer interested. But if you follow Stoic principles, you don't play into those dynamics. You don't act to win her back or prove something to yourself. Instead, you act from a place of inner strength and self-confidence. If she reaches out, let your response show how calm and grounded you are. Don't let your emotions control your choices. Stay in charge of your peace and your actions. You don't need validation from others to feel whole. You've already developed a sense of self-fulfillment. That's what Stoicism is all about in relationships. You're not reacting out of desperation or hope. You're reacting with balance and confidence. So the next time her name comes up on your phone, take a moment to think about what's important to you. Then respond with poise and let your actions show how strong you are. A Stoic man is defined not by who contacts him, but by how he acts with self-control and honor. Number 8. Embracing your own path. Imagine that you've stopped pursuing her and are now wondering what will happen next. Will she notice? Will she care? At first, the uncertainty can be too much to handle, but here's the truth. You shouldn't be worried about how she reacts. The real change should start inside you. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in handy. When you stop chasing her, you regain control over your emotions. You're no longer looking for praise or approval. Instead, you're putting your self-respect, core values, and emotional strength first. This is an unshakable inner confidence. Stoicism teaches that true happiness doesn't come from outside sources like her texts, interest or acknowledgement, but from developing inner peace and self-reliance. Now, let's think about how she might react when you stop chasing her. She might reach out, curious about your sudden silence, or she might think about your absence and wonder what it means. Or she might not do anything at all. Women are often intuitive, and a change in energy may prompt her to reassess the situation. But here's the key. What she does next isn't what matters. What matters is that you stop caring about the outcome. This isn't about abandoning her. It's about prioritizing yourself. You're letting go of the need to control the situation, and in doing so, you're embracing a high sense of freedom. Stoicism reminds us that we can't change how other people feel or act, but we can change how we react. By stepping back, you're not surrendering. Rather, you're opting to live independently of her response. Whether she comes back or not, you stay grounded knowing that your worth isn't dependent on her actions. For example, let's say you've been the one starting conversations and reaching out, but you decide to stop. Days go by and there's silence at first. You might wonder if she's even noticed. Then something changes. You start to feel lighter, and you're no longer glued to your phone. Instead of checking every text or waiting for her response, you're focusing on your life, goals, and growth. She might reach out to you eventually, or she might not. Either way, you found peace in the unknown, which is a sign of stoic resolve. Stepping away from her is only one part of this process. Letting go of your attachment to her reaction is also a big part of moving forward in your own life. You can align your actions with your values and grow true confidence and self-respect by living in the present and not worrying about what might happen or becoming stuck in the cycle of hoping for a certain outcome. In the end, it doesn't matter if she decides to reconnect. What matters is that you've gained emotional resilience and clarity, and that you've learned that true dignity and inner strength don't come from chasing someone else's attention, but from living authentically grounded in your values. Stoicism tells us that our strength comes from being able to let go of things we can't change and focus on what matters most, our character and the road we choose to take. Now that the movie has concluded, let's finally reflect. Let's think about the deeper ideas we've learned. When you decide to end a relationship, it's not to manipulate or prove a point. It's to reclaim your sense of self, led by the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Your silence creates a powerful space for you to think, not just for her. For her, it might lead to questions, curiosity, or even a re-evaluation of the relationship. For you, it's a chance to get back in line with your values, strengthen your inner determination, and rediscover your own worth without relying on outside approval. Stoicism tells us that peace of mind comes from inside, not from other people. This means that your worth doesn't depend on whether she sees your absence, tries to connect with you, or thinks about the connection. Instead, your worth is based on how you act and think, staying calm and true to your values by focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and reactions. You build up a strength that no one can take away. The purpose of this process is not to follow her or wait for her to notice you. The point is to focus on your own growth and happiness. If she reaches out to you, let reason guide your answer. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that you control your mind, not outside events. If she doesn't understand that her silence doesn't make you less valuable, then don't let it affect you emotionally. If you understand this, you will find strength. This is the essence of Stoic resilience, staying steady and grounded no matter what is going on around you. Remember that stepping back isn't a loss, it's an act of empowerment. The need for approval no longer binds you, and this liberation is profoundly transformative. It doesn't matter if she thinks about your absence or not. The most important change is happening inside you. You're learning to put your own peace of mind, self-respect, and the journey to becoming the best version of yourself first. If this message spoke to you, please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I chose self-respect as a way to show that you are committed to growing inside. Your ideas not only make this talk more interesting, but they also give people who are going through similar things hope. If you like this video, please click like. It's a small thing that helps the channel reach more people and spread this message of empowerment. Also, before you leave, take a moment to watch the suggested videos. They'll teach you more about Stoic principles and how they can change your relationships, mind, and life. Thank you for watching and investing in your own growth. Until next time, stay grounded, stay true to yourself, and keep choosing self-respect. The next video will be up soon.